Ladies and gentlemen, Middle East situation has worsened a lot. Plus, stock market has some rumbling due to SpaceX IPO, and also we have got a CPI reading that's coming out. Now, I would like to apologize that I have a bad throat, but I think it is important for me to update everybody. Let's watch on, shall we? Just when I thought I could just lie down and rest, and this is going to be a peaceful day, we've got Iran and US now exchanging fire at a very serious level. So there is a lot of things to update on this part. And more importantly, there is also an IPO frenzy that's coming out. And SpaceX, which is by Elon Musk, is going to IPO today. And we've also got some pressure on the stock market due to the weakness in AI chip demand that the market is expecting. So I think I should cover all these three together. And so please mind my voice and let's watch on. So first of all, it happened yesterday, 9th of June, Singapore time and Malaysia time, early in the morning at around 6 a.m. An Apache helicopter, which is a anti-tank helicopter, was shot down by the Iranians. And it happens near the Strait of Hormuz, as it was early in the morning. And there were two pilots in the plane, and it was being shot down by a drone. Now, I'm asking myself, how on earth a drone can shoot down a helicopter? So I think it's probably a case where the drone, which is not flying very fast, probably escaped radar and hit the helicopter unexpected. So this is a very serious provocation, and the helicopter crashed into the sea. Luckily, both pilots were rescued. Now, it's a very interesting rescue because the Americans deployed sea drones. That means ships without human inside, completely driven by AI and by remote control. And the sea drone went and rescued the two pilots alive. Now, that's a remarkable rescue, but clearly right now, wow, you shoot my helicopter down, target my two pilots. What do you think the American would do? Well, of course, they will retaliate. So around the same time in the morning, Donald Trump immediately said the response should be very strong and very powerful. So Donald Trump has instructed a retaliation. So military retaliation reacted quite strongly. And as a result, this sparked off the exchange of fire from both sides, which I'm going to brief you. This morning, around Singapore time, 5 a.m. or so, the US strike began. So the first started when the American launched attack on the Iranian radar station. Their air defense system in Iran, southern Iran, was also attacked. Their military command center was also attacked. So this is a major escalation. So these places are pretty close to the Strait of Hormuz. And right now, this attack has already happened in a very big and massive way. How big is the scale attack? Let me show you. So they hit the Iranian radar network. All the long-range surveillance system, targeting system, weapon system, all being hit. And the aim of this is to reduce the Iranian ability to monitor, track, and threaten US naval forces in the air and the sea around the Straits of Hormuz. So by doing this, they want to make sure they cripple their ability to hit the Americans again. Now, they didn't just hit all the radar. They also hit Bandar Abbas, their port city, and they also hit some military installation and some strategic island, Qashm Island. So this is a very big, massive retaliation, not a slap in the hand. It's a very big retaliation, and also aim at targeting their oil infrastructure. 20 Iranian military targets were being struck. And the US, after striking 20 military targets, he says, okay, my operation is completed. So this is not what I call a house cell logic. This is a very serious hit on Iran by the Americans. What do you expect the Iranians to do? Of course, the American told the Iranians better don't retaliate. You must be kidding, right? So the Iranians, of course, are not going to sit back and do nothing. So the Iranians struck back. They hit the Americans really hard across 3 countries. So the Iranians fired drones and ballistic missiles towards Bahrain, Kuwait, and surprisingly, this time Jordan as well. All the infrastructure, military air base or military base that are supporting the US were being targeted. So they fired at these 3 places, and therefore we have an all-out war going on right now. So in terms of Bahrain, the US Fifth Fleet headquarters were being targeted, and fortunately there were no major damage reported. But the Fifth Fleet is a very important fleet, and fortunately the interceptor missiles all hit the targets. Kuwait, Ali Al Shalam Air Base was being targeted multiple times. This air base has been hit and targeted many times. The Kuwaiti air defense system was activated. They fired interceptors, and they managed to completely neutralize all the interceptors. And by the way, Jordan as well was able to protect the air base from being hit as well. So talking about Jordan, they intercepted 5 ballistic missiles and protected an air base that is in collaboration with US as installation. So there were no casualties. So in short, all these 3 places that were being targeted, I would consider the attack by the Iranians a complete failure. Now, with this kind of escalation, surprisingly, the oil prices didn't move much. In fact, the WTI price right now gone down by a little bit, and the Brent crude went up by a little bit. So bottom line is, I think the oil prices right now are pretty stable. I would call it stable high, but it's not escalating, and it's certainly pretty immune to Middle East war escalation unless it goes out really out of control. At this juncture, surprisingly, the oil prices are pretty resilient right now. So I think things in Middle East right now will not affect the oil prices much, and by definition, unlikely to affect the stock market by a big deal. Now, looking at SpaceX IPO, now this is an IPO that is attracting a lot of attention, and the valuation is at a high of $1.8 trillion. That's ridiculous. And the total demand right now is about 4 times oversubscribed, and there are $200 billion of demand, although they're asking for $75 billion of capital raise only. By the way, with SpaceX IPO is likely to make Elon Musk the first trillion in the world. But I think there's a lot of concern about this IPO. That's largely because the IPO is absorbing a lot of liquidity from the market, and there's also Anthropic IPO and ChatGPT IPO all coming, OpenAI. So all these IPOs are going to absorb a lot of liquidity, and people, analysts and investors are all trying to see whether this one will hurt the stock market because they absorb too much liquidity from the market. So this is viewed largely as a negative event. So on one hand, we have got the Middle East situation, some escalation. It will not put a severe downswing in the stock market, but there's no upside from it. Number 2, we have got SpaceX IPO right now that is draining liquidity from the market. And number 3, for the last few days, we have got an AI chip sell-off, and it's still continuing. In fact, yesterday, the market sell off quite a lot initially, and then it retraced back. So it is some form of a pressure on the stock market, but I think the market is just waiting for one more piece of news before deciding whether to sell off or not. And that's the CPI numbers that are coming out tonight around Singapore Malaysian time, 8:30. If the stock market were to receive a bad news on the CPI reading, which is the inflation reading, then the market will likely to react negatively. So we shall see. by tonight we will know whether the inflation numbers will be bad or good. And if the inflation number is bad, then well, lo and behold, we're gonna have a bad event. So let's watch and see. It's just a few more hours to it. And I think all these are putting pressure on the stock market. Let's get ready for a downturn. I'm a crash buyer. I like market rises, but I also like market crashes. So if it crash, I'll take advantage of it and slam dunk into it. Okay? Thank you for watching. Once again, I apologize for my voice, but I think the market is just too exciting right now. So let's see what will happen. We'll see you guys. Bye-bye.